All right,
Welcome
welcome back. The show is interactive. We do want to hear from you throughout the show, so kindly use the hashtag Breakfast Daily for us to hear what you're thinking. The WhatsApp line is 05505858832. We want to talk about education and educational infrastructure, the importance of it, and in many places the lack of it. Let's go to the Western region. We have a report for you of the St. John's School and the lack of educational infrastructure there. Our colleague Akwatsire has filed this report. Let's take a look.
Established in 1952 by Archbishop William Thomas Porter as the first private Catholic secondary school in the Western region, St. John's School in Second D has not only grown in size from the pioneering batch of just 11 students to current population of 2,223 students, but also produced several industrial citizens.
For 70 good years, St. John's School being the pioneer or the first secondary school to be established here in the Western region has been contributing in the production of human resource for this country's development. But unfortunately, the infrastructure over here that it started with is basically still remain the same. And the headmaster seemed not to be happy with the forward march of the school.
We are lacking behind in terms of classrooms. The classroom that I was occupying from 40 years ago are still the same classrooms. When the school population was less than 500, now we are over 2,000. The only classroom block that has been added on is what we call the Cambodia. Even that one is still uncompleted. It has been abandoned for the past 10 years or so. So the school was gradually turned to a day school. St. John's as a grade A school or category A school cannot pick a number of students because we don't have a classroom. We have a lot of abandoned classrooms which need to be completed so that we can increase our intake, so that we can help a lot of people who want to come to St. John's to have the education at St. John's, to receive a holistic education in terms of Catholic training.
The headmaster also said St. John's School is not spared from the current school feeding challenges.
The issue of feeding is a national problem. The suppliers are not bringing the food regularly, and that is giving us a whole lot of challenge. So the food comes very late, and students are normally not fed as expected of them for good academic work.
Responding to some of the challenges, a Deputy Minister for Energy, Andrew Ejapamesa, who is the MP for Second D, where the school is situated, and graced the 70th anniversary launch of the school, said government recognizes the role of St. John's School and assured of government support to the school.
As MP for Second D, I pledge my unflinching support to St. John's School. In this regard, let me assure the global chairman, vice chairman, and the chairman of the academic committee, who in discussions with me requested that I assist with the construction of the entrance road to this great institution, that the said request will be duly met. I am also reliably informed that to commemorate this auspicious occasion, the whole students have committed to renovate the classrooms and dormitories of this great institution. This is commendable.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health Authority, Professor Akwatsire, said himself and all students, while cautioning students to live by the school's mantra of preparing the way, urged students to stay away from drug abuse, which is now at an alarming state in schools.
Drug abuse is becoming increasingly problematic in our schools. Not only in the sense of the incidents or how many people are taken, but the evolution of it. People are experimenting with all kinds of drugs. In the past, 5-10 years ago, the drugs we knew were marijuana or cannabis or Indian hemp, and then cocaine, heroin. But now, the students are experimenting with various things. So, as I said, lacquer, which carpenters use to polish their products, people are mixing all kinds of things with them. For instance, they take lizard droplets and mix it with the lacquer or turpentine. They squeeze blood out of a menstrual pad and mix it with lacquer and mix it with alcohol and drink. to make them high. Yes, it makes you high, but you don't know what is it you are giving to the brain. And now evidence shows that every time you expose yourself to drugs, it's like you are frying the egg of your brain.
Aku marks the 70th anniversary. Expectation or the hope of management over here is not just to produce brilliant students, but students with no track record of drug abuse and of good behavior.
All right, so there you see the images from St. John's School in the Western region. Now, what I find interesting, Kokwi, is that if you see the initial shots there, okay, you see this whole team of elderly, distinguished-looking gentlemen who were all old students of the school. Many of them in very good jobs, if they've not retired yet. Many of them, you know, having achieved reasonable heights within the Ghanaian society. My question, first, that just pops into my head is, what are all these people doing to help their school? The very first secondary school in the Western region.
I'm a Beshka. Just kidding.
But that's the CEO of the Mental Health Authority. He was the last person speaking.
But he's one person. He obviously can't do it on his own.
Well, he might even argue that he doesn't even have money for his own mental health authority.
You know, let alone his secondary school, which for 70 years really hasn't seen much improvement. But, you know, barely a week goes by without us hearing of some kind of school infrastructure issue or school feeding issue or students don't have places to sleep or this is overcrowded. And I mean, it speaks to the issues affecting educational infrastructure in our country. But what we're not seeing, though, is enough resolution of the issue. It's like we keep putting it out there, we talk about it, and we have to talk about other things as well. So we can't always hammer on the same issue, but every time it's the same thing
and it comes
cropping up. So at what point are we going to hear solutions or see solutions?
And there's also a reason why certain schools are esteemed in a certain way. It's that the old students come together and really put their shoulders behind the school.
And it's not easy.
You know,
it's not easy.
You need the numbers. You need, you know, and every school, of course, we talk about this issue about how in Ghana, it's the secondary schools that have the old associations, right? True. Whereas in other countries in the West, it's the universities that have the support, that level of support. But whatever it is, I think that the level of support is necessary. It has to exist. It has to be real. Otherwise, there's no way to truly, have the number of schools we want to have and have them all function at a certain level of infrastructure, educational material, facilities, IT centers, libraries, modern libraries, all those things. Science labs.
Huge investment.
No. There's no way except people who have left come back and give back.
And, previously, parents as well. Parents of students would also give. PTA dues would help to cover some of the things. And then private sector, also has some kind of a role to play. All right, let's touch base with our colleague, Akwatsire Nemeje, who brought us the story. Let's see what else he can tell us about the situation at St. John's Secondary School. Good morning, Akwatsire.
Good morning, Kobe.
Hi. Always good to hear from you. You're bringing us another interesting issue in the Western region. Now, we've seen your report on this. Again, the story sounds familiar. A school, several decades old, 70 years old, not much infrastructural development. Now, from your interaction with some of the personalities in your report, what sense do you have that there's some kind of hope on the horizon? The school keeps growing, the numbers keep growing, we need to see some kind of development. What were you able to get firsthand about plans for developing the school and expanding it?
Well, for now, I'll say the only hope the school has is that, the old students, that is the old saints. They have the old saints local and they have the old saints global. They have, in the last few years have come to the aid of the school, and in fact, the infrastructure you saw over there is even a rehabilitated infrastructure. It used to be really bad. They have managed to rehabilitate most of the existing structures. But the problem is the fact that for 70 good years, if you look at the number of classrooms that the school started with, they are basically the same. They only have addition that the government tried to make. It's still not completed. And the school started with just 11 people with that very, structures. And today it has more than 2,223 people in the school. So the biggest problem is that the management are having it very difficult to have space for the increasing numbers. It's one of the A-class schools, and a lot of people want to attend this school. But management is struggling to actually accommodate. And even those that have been able to take, the class size is an issue, because if you have more people, it means you need to create more classrooms. So if you take maybe business class, instead of having maybe business 1, 2, and 3, you can have business 1, 2 up to maybe 4 or 5, just to make sure that you lessen the number per class. That is if you have the space. And so, because the classrooms are not there, that is a challenge management is facing. The old students associations, old Saints, local and old Saints global, they are doing their best. They've done what they can do, and they are still, even with this anniversary, I'm told they built the various year groups, and they've taken it from themselves to do some projects. But a chunk of the problem also have to go to the state, which is the main, responsible entity when it comes to infrastructure at the schools.
Right. So from what you're saying, the old students are trying. They're doing what they can. And we know it's not easy to organize people who have left school 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's not an easy task. But okay, so that's the old student side. We know they're trying their best. What about the government side? What about the private sector side? They're in the Western Union. There's a lot of mining companies. Western region, a lot of mining companies, a lot of corporate entities. Any sense that they've reached out for support from there as well?
Yeah, for the private side, I would say it's a sad one, because that school has actually produced 2 former managing directors of Ashanti Goldfields. The former Ashanti Goldfields,
Wow.
ADC, now Anglo-Gold Ashanti. The school currently, it's a former school of the late Ada, former aviation minister, the current MP for Kwesimentim. If you take the Western North Minister, Richard Obin, that is his former school, and a lot of people who have passed through the school. But they are doing their own little as old students. But for the private sector, despite the Western region being the hub of the oil and gas industry and even the extractive sector, not much is actually coming in from there. So, as much as the old saints are doing their bit, the rest, is expected to come from the state. The government started that classroom block, and for close to 10 years, as the headmaster said, it's still not been completed.
Goodness me. And I suppose we don't even need to ask about government resources to put in this. We know government is pretty stretched thin, which is why I suppose we look for other sources of revenue to improve upon the school. Okay. Akwesi, I don't know if Kweku has any questions for him. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
And for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one, because you look at old students.
They're trying.
First of all, every old student has their own life, and their own pressures, right?
Yeah.
But I look at the model that some of the more successful schools, in terms of renovating and maintaining, have used, and it's to do with the year groups, So I'm not sure what model they're using here.
Yeah.
But if it's just the same few people contributing, it will be difficult.
Well, he did say they've got local and global members, and it's a very clear and structured thing. So at least for Catholic schools, we normally do 25 years after you leave.
Yes.
Then you do the
that's
year
actually
group.
what I'm thinking about, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's been in existence for 70 years, it means that you can have a cycle that will literally mean that one group will probably have to donate only once in their lifetime, literally.
It could be.
Yeah.
Maybe twice.
Or
and then
twice,
sometimes,
max.
and then sometimes they add to. So let's say you finished 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You might add yourself to the group, the main group that's hosted. So
Okay.
they do double up. I know Fansipim does that a lot. They will put like 10-year groups together to do a project. Wesley Girls also does
Yeah.
similar things.
Yeah.
They put several year groups together.
So when you have huge
know.
projects you want to do, so for
Yeah.
example, I mean, I don't know if they have enough land in the
Around.
space of the school, but I mean, I'm thinking maybe 10 more blocks, you know.
Cement price, no.
Yeah, no, but you see,
Charlie.
no, but you see, when you start to put the numbers of people who have passed through the school, right? So let's say this year you're looking at 2,000 students, right? If you have 2,000 students this year, let's say for the last 10 years, you've had in excess of, I don't know how many people of the 2,000 will be graduating, right?
Well, I mean, they pass everyone
Yeah,
out.
so,
you know.
so
Whether you do well or not, you will leave.
but I'm talking about the final years. So in the final year, out of the 2,000, maybe they have what, 600-700 in final year,
Maybe.
possibly. Okay, so if you have, let's say, even 600 in the final year, imagine 10 years of 600 students coming out every year, 600 students coming out every year.
Yeah.
Right? Look what that means in terms of numbers.
Yes.
If everybody is able, out of that, averagely, to give, say, 1,000 CDs, or even 500 CDs a year, and it's your one-time donation. Do
So
see?
you have to, so maybe cut that number
What does that
by
even mean?
80, maybe you get 20% participation, realistically.
Okay.
Your group, Charlie, it no be easy.
But you see,
But it's also,
again, it comes to the model that I'm talking about. Because
Yes.
because some schools have successfully been able to rope in a lot
of people, and
to
they have
participate.
a lot of successful graduates as well. So it
Yes.
helps, you know.
Yeah.
Some will give more than others.
Yeah.
Some don't feel the need to do it. Some will tell you, look, we've done this year group thing. Some will tell you, look, when I was in school, that's how the place was. So
Yeah,
why
so
should
leave
I?
it like that.
And someone will tell you, I paid fees when I was there.
Yeah.
So why should I
Don't
contribute now?
contribute again,
Sometimes it's the orientation people have. They
Yeah.
just don't see the need or the reason, or they don't see it as their responsibility to give back to the school. Okay, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but maybe some schools need to
would
do a
be-
better job
What
of.
would be your motivation to give back to a school?
For me, I mean, the school gave to me. That's where I was
That's
educated,
the point.
and I would want
Do you understand?
people coming
So-
after me to have a better opportunity, to have, you know,
Yes.
that is, but not everybody thinks that way.
I say, the school would not have existed for me to come and enjoy if somebody didn't pay the price.
Exactly.
So you pay the price
Yeah.
for others to also come and benefit.
Yeah.
That's it's a simple logic, right? But I guess maybe not everybody
That's
sees
just
it like that.
exactly, assuming everyone thinks that way, but not everyone
Not
does.
everybody sees it like that.
Not everybody does,
Yeah, but
but-
then I'm also wondering about the two former Ashanti Gold
Yeah,
executives
that's some
who
good. That's
went
some
to the
good
school.
alumni
I
there.
mean, seriously, they could use their influence quite, you know, easily to
Yeah.
bring in some
To at
money.
least do something,
Yeah.
you know. And, you know, maybe people, you also start thinking about little drops of water. So not waiting till someone has finished 10 or 15
Yeah.
or 25 years, but even just a few years after. Look,
Yeah.
we don't have endowment funds for our schools here, whereas, you know, in the West, they do that a lot, where people contribute to endowment funds, people donate, that
Well,
fund is
some
invested.
schools have started
Are trying to start something like
set
that,
it up, yeah.
because that's how you get longevity
makes
in
sense.
the resource
Yeah.
you know machine.
Yeah.
Harvard, all these huge
Yeah.
universities, that's what they do. That's how they can pay for
You
people
have
to
to
attend
do it well.
for free.
You have to
you know?
make it transparent.
Yeah.
Everybody has to know what their contribution is going to.
Exactly.
When what monies are being taken out to be used for what.
Yeah.
All it has to be so clear and
So
above board.
clear.
I think there's also the element of mistrust.
Right.
Okay.
That you know, because you send to
Yeah.
somebody's Momo, and you know, the IT consortium have developed something called the Chango app. With
Fantastic.
Chango, it is so clear and transparent. You don't. It's not. You go to one platform. Everything is listed there. Everybody can log in, see it, download the app. So the transparency is there. They can even show you who donated what,
Okay.
how much was collected, pictures of the project.
Okay.
It sanitizes the system and clears that mistrust issue to make people more comfortable about donating. So if people are have those trust issues, there are options now. There are options now
Yeah.
to get don't send to someone's personal Momo anymore. As a group, you come together, you set up your Chango, and you're good to go. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I think now there are options we have, to make this thing a bit more streamlined and to get people to think, look, even if it's 10 cedis you can give, just give it.
Yeah.
Just start there.
I think so. I mean, many fundraising efforts.
Yeah.
It's not much that you need.
Yeah.
It's a little from a lot
of people. That's it.
Right.
5 cedis.
You know.
There was one year group, I think it was Holy Child last year or so. They had something like that. And they said, look, we just want people to send. It was something, it wasn't a huge
imagine
thing.
if you needed 1 million Ghana cedis for a project.
Yeah.
Right. It may seem like a lot of money, but if you do the math, you suddenly realize that getting 1 million Ghana cedis from, let's say, over a 10-year, 15-year period, 10,000 students.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
Yeah, you could do it realistically if everybody just gave.
Give yourself a
money.
year and say you're raising 1 million Ghana cedis for this project.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You could.
Quite easily. Of course, you look at the issues of participation and people being involved and all that. But, if you did your PR right and everything else, you should be able to do it. So honestly, again, it comes back to the same thing. I don't think that the school has, the authorities will complain. And they will say that, okay, we're not getting this, we're not getting that. But I think that creativity is definitely needed in this case. You need to start thinking, how do we look at what we have available to us? You have available to, when you called for the anniversary, look at the number of people that showed up.
Yeah.
The number of big men that showed up, old students that showed up. So you already have that.
Yes.
That's the beginning of it.
It's the beginning. And then beyond that, getting the resources, the same people giving over and over again. After a while,
there's fatigue.
Takes a toll. Yeah.
So you don't use the same people giving over again. You come up with creative ways of making it happen.
Shall we? Okay. We'll take a break, but let us know your thoughts on this. For those of you who have been through this, where you have to give back to your school, what are your thoughts on these fundraising efforts and how effective they are? Let us know. You can send a WhatsApp message to 0550-585832, or you can hashtag Breakfast Daily. We're still discussing the state of some of our schools. And this time we're coming to West Municipality. Well, let's take a look at this report from our colleague, Akwatsire.
I have come to Amasaman constituency in Accra. Unyansana electoral area is where Akwatsire MA Basic School is located, and it is where pupils from primary 3 to junior high school study under trees. How did a school in the country's capital, Accra, with brilliant students like Samuel and Nora, get under trees?
I've been in the school for about 2 years now.
2 years. So where did you come from? What school did you come from?
Broadway High School at Antioch, Kwashiman.
Okay, so why did you relocate to the school, especially as you are sitting under a tree in this condition?
We moved from there and came here to reside. And
your parents relocated?
So when we came here, we saw that this school was good. So we were sitting under a structure there. So due to the heavy rainfall, our structure was collapsed. So we couldn't get anywhere to learn.
You were in class when it collapsed?
Yes.
What was the situation? How were you able to move from the class?
We went to this room. So when the rain stopped, we came there and saw that our building was collapsed. So our headmaster said that there are many trees here, so we should come and stay under the tree to learn. So that came all about how we are sitting under the tree.
So let me ask you, do you feel proud of your school, especially when you go for, intercore and all that, and people are talking about their school, we have a playground, we have this, we have that. Are you proud of your school to say, oh, my school is also, out there?
No, when they say that, I feel like we are ashamed.
So you didn't even talk about your school at all?
No.
Is this also affecting your academics?
Not that much, but if you are learning, you must to bring all your mind to the
you have to be focused.
We've been distracted when people are passing around, and then when we are studying under the tree, sometimes when it rains, we have to close because this place, it can't cater the whole school. So sometimes we close from school during rain, when it rains. We want a school building so that we can concentrate and focus on whatever that is going on. But when we are learning in class and someone is passing by, motor, cars, even animals distract us.
What sort of animals?
Birds. When we sit here, then they shit on us.
Due to the lack of infrastructure, I witnessed few minutes after our arrival, students vacating their seats to pave way for a PTA meeting. Students have no choice than to loiter about until meeting is done. Some parents spoke to me on how the condition under which teaching and learning takes place affects the academic performance of their wards.
I'm GHS 3.
I'm Kotrobis.
I'm Kotre.
See, additional,
Aka school what is the Anka Rebecca for teacher for modern born at the day bad. No cre. Since I'm by some of her moving the Kosoa. School ya correct to many Mayanya first badge Kotroni. I sank a bibi. She has an additional Kosoa. This year, Sumina, I was so be a coffee. La same should be more poor now. Or my papa was able to do if you cry as him. If I'm about to go to do any be, it been a blue air that way. It is a beer, it shouldn't know some point. That's a great bless about Colabia, and you see a problem.
I will host him, pa. I will host him. If you say, Sissy crowns will make us say, baby, I you cum cola, it's a chin cola. It say, a cobani, sir, a yam siciano, not as sad as a baby apostle con Jaco. Untumenco. If it's a woman, say, oh, corner, or baby sewage, a dear may be see. It's it, I have been generally. A course watch it. I tell you what I see who ya. We been to say a young nasum. I check pa. And so, can't come on your day.
First semester or more building or more academics if you are sharing homework and marking the marks anyway and this is here and the marks we
difference won't be brave. But me my from dear poor me can say a teacher for a son winning in 18 prono or more bomb home thing. Now so in ye pay. Still no more bomb home or more from the be or more ye. Now so in ye pay. A woman say marks and any biano. A son so more bomb home dintino, the be a bab account. Now so no. Said you was a cocodruno and your holy cocodru. And me, when I eat that, meaning say beer and can next win, dinner beer 90. No, so still, it's say 12 buy a pound, 1 buy a pound. I have seen some sweet time from a ding. Now, nothing and how neighbor.
Despite not having classrooms, the school cannot boast of a library, ICT lab, and other amenities. This is how students study ICT in Akwatsire MA Basic School.
Enter on the keyboard and you type the name you want to give to the folder and you click enter and the folder will stop.
Because students do not have cupboards in the school, students also have to carry all their books home and bring them back to school every day. The headmaster's office, where vital documents and archives are kept, is also exposed to raiders. The school's park has also not seen any renovation for several years. This has also not made way for extracurricular activities.
This is our netball court. Okay. And our volleyball court was here. But now it is not there. At first we are having a metal pool, but due to a heavy downpour, it's break. So we decided to bring a stick so that we can train. That time it was last time. We were about to go for a match at Okushibiade. So we did this for normal trainings.
The school's management committee says all efforts to get government to come to their aid has proven futile.
But everyone say a best school no, na school no akonkai. Se bibia touch ma, na ya she, na ya sisi. Ya kwa school we any school kitwa. Omaba ya dia uhwe ahakra we kra ya ko pa for asase no. Ya ko still now you san kai ba ya gusu na shom bose after ama ho dia me kita ase heno ase no the best build no be am by end of this year dey me di ma ho dey say ya ko government ho no am boy dia say na be ya me ye aduma me ya dia support school no person school no engina person school no engina by we no boy can say no boy enti sena be ya nkwala no so omo no gino na no kra hwe ha kra po no we building bi wo ha me so omo kwhye 10 rooms na wo ho me se me de omo be ko akwhye ho until time ya be ye ade ne kakra because ya boafo
na we ya but your parents ne peska kakra mo ye apata e man kra nyina e ba ye chro ko baby.
So that was a report by our colleague Akwatsire, who told us about the deplorable state of a basic school in the Gan West municipality. Now we're going to talk to Peter Enti, who is the executive director of the Institute for Education Studies, and we'll find out from him what the institute has discovered regarding the number of schools in this condition and what can and should be done to eliminate schools under trees. Good morning, Peter. Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning, madam.
Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
All right. Now, we understand that we've got over 5,000 schools under trees still, even though we know that there has been a big push over the years to eliminate such schools. We have over 4,000 schools that are primary without any JHS facility. And from what we just seen in this report, even problems with toilet facilities for the children, proper equipment for the children to learn, etc. As an institute like yours that follows the progress of such schools, what can you tell us about the efforts, if any, that are being made to really deal with this once and for all, the existence of schools under trees?
Thank you very much. And I think that over the years, governments across political divides have made efforts to tackle this issue of schools under trees. We think that those efforts have not been comprehensive enough because of possibly the method that they use to identify such deprived schools. I have said on your platform before that the description of a deprived school is tied to what we call deprived districts. So if the district is not classified as a deprived district, then technically the focus of our authorities to schools within that district becomes a little bit minimal. And that is why within the center of Greater Accra region, we are having a school that is in such a state because technically you would think that all schools within the catchment area of the Greater Accra region are supposed to be schools that are at a certain level because so when you have a school that falls within that particular region and it's not in a very good state, it should take extra effort from the school authorities, the local education officers, and possibly the school inspector to push for such anomalies to be rectified. And that is the problem that we have. So until we have a redefinition of what a deprived school is, until we have a very comprehensive assessment of individual basic schools and not tie the definition of a deprived school to that of a deprived district, we will have these things happening for a long time.
Well, thank you for mentioning school inspector. Okay, so we've got something like NASIA, right, the School Inspectorate Authority, that is supposed to be canvassing the country, looking at our schools, evaluating them based on certain criteria. How is it that an authority like that will see a school like this and permit it to keep running? Is it that it fulfills a need so they really can't do much about it? or is there something else that we don't know?
Yes, I think the work of NASIA is exactly what you said. They are supposed to make sure that the schools are in a state that can be used to deliver education to the kids. And I've read reports from NASIA checking schools and making sure that things are in place. So technically, what they are supposed to do is to now pick this information from the schools under them, now escalate it to the district office, and then the district office to higher authority. The work of the inspector is when he reports the anomaly to the district office. So it becomes a little bit difficult to put much of course, unless we can prove that the inspector there has not
escalated it.
This incident to the district, then we can take him on. But if he makes that report, which he should do intermittently, the district should be aware of the current state of this particular school. Again, you talk to these inspectors and they will tell you about the challenges that they face and other things which would have an impact on the kind of work that they do. But of course, if you are within this, Greater Accra, and you have a certain number of schools under you, and this is a peculiar school, I think that by this time, this information should be on the desk of the regional director of education, and possibly at the headquarters of both, at the headquarters at GES, and definitely some people at the ministry should be aware of it.
Okay. Now, David has a question for you.
Yeah. So, Mr. Anti, so in terms of the education space, who decides that a particular place needs a school? Is it the assembly? What role does the assembly have to play? And I'm asking this question because I'm wondering why someone does not have building facilities or school premises in terms of buildings, but will start a school under trees.
It's all about our planning. Sometimes it's the decision to start a school starts from the community. You know, people settle, and as they are settling, they have kids. Sometimes the distance from where they are to where the next school is would be a little bit far. So the community needs the idea to start something small like that. Then the district assembly, from the perspective of the assemblyman, takes it up. Okay. Then this is now linked to the district education office, because definitely they will need teachers. So then the district education office will now have to come in and ensure that teachers are sent to those schools and all that. So we have problems with planning. I think that will be a discussion on its own one day. But it's because of the way we plan our communities, and that is a central problem now. So if we have a community coming up and the district comes into, let's say, plan it well, we'll have a school in there, we have a hospital in there, we have all the other social amenities in there to address the social needs of the people. But in most instances, these ideas are meted by the people in the community, and the district assembly will come in and then support them here and there. I'm thinking that at a point where the district assembly steps in, enough resources should be provided to provide them with the needed infrastructure. And sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult if you are sitting in the seat of a district education office and you are being confronted with this scenario that there's a school here, there are this number of kids there, and we need a teacher. And you tell them that, look, because your structure is not well, you don't have a good structure, I will not give you a teacher. I hope you know what that will mean. For the hospitals, they can do that. That's why sometimes doctors say they will not go to this place, or they will not go to that place. But it becomes difficult for a district director of education to say that I will deny you teachers when there are kids there and they are supposed to get education. So it's a difficult situation. I think the district officers find themselves in, and I hope that maybe as we continue with this, I think that as soon as a school is highlighted in that instance, the first thing that needs to be done is resources should be allocated to it. And that's why for me, I've been calling for a different way of measuring a deprived school. So that if we have an index that measures a deprived school, and we have data, and I have to say that the Minister of Education has data of all basic schools in the country. So they know the number of teachers in every single basic school. They know the number of students in every single basic. Every year they collect that data. So if you have an index that will classify these schools into deprived, more deprived, less deprived, and all those things, all that you need to do is after you have collected the data for the year, you just feed in that, and then those schools will pop up. And then you now reallocate resources to these specific schools. And that is how we'll be able to lift some of these schools up to the level that we want. But of course, mostly it's about still pushing resources to schools that already have, because they have what sociologists call cultural capital.
Yeah.
They have people who are linked to them, and they can really push and strength and get the resources to them. And in the effort to do that, we leave most of our basic schools more deprived than they even started.
Okay, so I have a release here from the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, and it's regarding a school report that we covered last week. This same school that we're talking about, Akwatsire, we actually aired it last week, and the statement is making reference to the school. Let me just quickly read that for you, and I want your comments on it. So it says here, request for detailed report on school buildings in deplorable state in the Ga West municipality. Reference is made to a City News report on Monday, 30th May 2022 on the deplorable state of basic schools in the Ga West municipality in the Greater Accra region. The news report stated that pupils of the Akwatsire MA Basic School at Akwatsire, a suburb of the Ga West municipality, are having classes under trees due to the collapse of their school structure after a heavy rainfall. The ministry would like to know if the above publication has come to your notice, and if so, what steps have been taken by the Assembly to provide immediate solution to it. The ministry will also be grateful if your Assembly could provide it with the following information for further action: a detailed report on the status of the schools in the municipality. B, plans made by the Assembly to provide basic school structures as captured in the medium-term development plan 2022 to 2025, as well as the 2022 annual action plan. And this is signed by the Dan Botry, the Honorable Minister for the Ministry of Local Government and Decentralization and Rural Development. I'm not sure if you have what jumps out at you when you hear this statement.
My as you read the letter and as I had it this morning, my first instinct was what I would love to read the response from the district assembly.
Okay.
Because that will give us a lot of information. Because what they suggest is that the district assembly might either one have no idea about this particular school, or two they have an idea but have decided to neglect or sit on that information. These are the two possible scenarios that we can get from this. So the response from the district assembly will be very, very interesting to read. I think that they have an idea about the state of this school. I think that maybe they would say they are making efforts to address this particular challenge. But then how long has this been since that particular school got into that particular state? So whatever they say, it's a matter of authorities sitting on their job and not doing what they are supposed to do. And in doing that, they are putting the future of innocent kids who deserve or who have the right to education in jeopardy, and that is something that we should not encourage. I applaud the Minister of Local Government for taking this initiative to pick this report up and then seeking for further and better particulars. But I hope that it will not end here. They should ensure that all schools across the country that are in this state are given the necessary support, and not because your outfit put this report out. Because for me, and I will continue to say, this data is available to the Ministry of Education, and if we want to take action on these deprived schools, one after the other, it's something that we can do because we have a lot of resources. We have resources building. Just yesterday, we cut short for the building of technical and vocational institutes across the country. We are building STEM centers, but we have basic schools which are in very, very deprived states that you will not encourage your ward to attend. And we are all quiet about it because in this country, at the basic level, those at the middle class and then the upper class have their wards in the private schools. And because of that, we hardly show a little more concern about state of affairs in our public basic schools. And I say this because of what we have even done with our basic schools when it comes to the distribution of textbooks, where private schools have access to all the textbooks that they need. And then public basic schools are still dealing with this challenge of lack of textbooks after almost 3 years of implementation of a new curriculum. So that has been the state of our public basic schools. We show a little concern to them when it comes to affairs that got to do with the provision of education for kids in those schools, and we need to take them. We need to take these issues seriously as we go forward.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very,
we really
very much.
appreciate your time. Thank you for
your
welcome.
Welcome.
That was Peter Enti from the Institute for Educational Studies, and you know, when he said, with this, is the assembly aware of the school? Yeah. They have to be aware. They've got final year students in the school who will be preparing for exams. Yeah. They must know about the school.
Yes, assembly cannot
there's no way they can. No way they can say they don't know. But I was just thinking, the student who was basically talking about how to do certain computer processes. Yeah. Look, my son, one of my sons yesterday said, "Oh, Mom, I have to do something for school, and I have to do it in Excel. They need to do this, so I need to use your computer." And I'm like, look at the difference. A kid who probably has never even touched a computer has to use theory that he's been taught on.
Imagination.
Okay, so these are the steps on how to do it, because they just don't have. Yeah. They don't even have walls, let alone speak of a computer to use.
You have to picture what a mouse looks like. Picture what without
CPU textbooks, without
like.
the actual thing, without.
And then you have to start imagining the processes. So when they say garbage in, garbage out, you have to picture, what is it that you are typing that is the garbage that's going in, and then what's the garbage that's coming out. It's
saying right click on a mouse.
Yeah. What does it even mean?
You're saying, what does that mean to that child?
Yes, what does it even mean? Right
something
click.
Tangible.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's not even,
we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah. Okay.
What pains me though is that if you and I today decided to go and donate one desktop computer to that school, somebody in that school, an authority, will capture that computer, and the students who it was meant for will not be able to use it.
But quickly, where will you even plug it? They don't even have a room.
Oh, they have.
There's no.
You see,
look, there it is. There it is. So this is how
that's the
they're learning how to use
this
the
is
computer, the keyboard, the mouse. Wow.
In Accra, this is not functioning, but this is Accra. It's not functioning. This is Accra.
So imagine a final year student, going to write BEC to try to get into secondary school, and you've got an exam that asks.
Yeah.
Charlie.
No, this is a reality. This is Ghana for you. See, so you know that saying that says that we are as strong as the weakest of us, right?
Yes, and that saying is
this
very
is
true.
it. This is Ghana.
This is very true.
Forget about Terminal 3. Terminal 3 and Villaggio are not Ghana. This is Ghana. Kokri, this is Ghana.
How can we have
until we move away from
this
and until nobody in the country has to deal with this.
Yeah, we haven't accomplished anything.
Let's not talk about anything else. This is Ghana, not Villaggio and Terminal 3.
We cannot have our students learning computers like this
we are
in this day and age. In a digitalization push, our students should be the main ones benefiting from anything digital.
Yes.
They are the future. They are the new generation. We can't move forward like this. We can't move forward like this.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, keep the discussion going. Look, send us your messages. Social media, #BreakfastDaily. On WhatsApp, send us a message, 0550-585832. Keep the messages coming, okay?
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this break.